Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I have been in a slump. After I read Fourth Wing, I tried to read Iron Flame and I just can't. I have to push through it. I rented an audiobook through Libby to listen to the graphic audiobook and I still can't focus for Iron Flame. I think I'm on like chapter 5. There's so much that I still need to get through. So right now I have it on pause and I'm trying to read other books, but I thought it'd be a good idea to, in the midst of a reading slump, basically, to recommend some books that got me out of a reading slump or that I read in less than 24 hours because they were so good I could not put it down. The first one that I want to talk about is a great summer book. A lot of these are actually summer books, now that I realized. And so it'll get you ready for spring, get you ready for summer. It is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I read this in like a night, basically. I couldn't put it down. I needed to like keep reading and I read through the night. This was my first ever second chance romance, also where it's present tense, but you also get chapters from flashback. It follows Percy and Sam. Percy moves to this cabin in the woods, but not like a crazy, creepy kind, like a normal summer fun time. Next door, you have Sam and his family, and for 6 summers, they grow up and see each other, and you see them become really good friends, best friends, and then a little romance. Then you flash to the present, and they haven't talked to each other for years, and something has brought Percy back to this town. You're trying to find out as the reader what happened to them, why do they not talk anymore, and can they rekindle a friendship or a romance. The next one is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I really enjoyed this book. I know it gets a lot of hate on, but I think it is perfect for me. This follows Nora and Charlie. Nora is a cutthroat literary agent, will do anything for her clients. In this world of books, she meets Charlie, who is an editor, and he has a lot to say in a negative way about one of her client's books. He hates on this small town that her client was writing about. They don't get off on a very good start. Very unprofessional the way they talk to each other, but it's really entertaining and I love it. Nora has a sister, Libby. Libby is obsessed with this town that Nora's client writes about and wants to take Nora there. Nora hates small towns, loves the city, loves the vibe of city life. But she agrees. In this small town where they're vacationing is Charlie, the man who hates this small town, and it just so happens that he is from there. These two people are total city life people. They hate small towns. Again, it's like, it's not really enemies to lovers because I don't really find them enemies. They're just two city-loving grumps. They're like stuck in this small town for a little bit, and I think it's so funny. It's so cute. The banter that they have, I love. This man is obsessed with Nora, and I love the tall representation in this book. I can say it every time. If there is a tall girl, I will like it, and I will recommend it just because I need more tall representation out there. It is also still a really good book that I recommend. The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. This is an amazing book. Again, epitome of summer vibes. I'm talking literally East Coast summer, but it also talks a lot about grief and recovering from grief and dealing with grief in like a family sense and not coping with it alone. It follows Meredith. She lost her sister Claire 18 months ago and she's still obviously dealing with it, and one of her family members is getting married in Martha's Vineyard. So they go celebrate her, and in this weekend of fun and festivities, they play a game of assassin. While they're playing assassin and while they're having fun, Meredith has to kind of reform herself without her sister, being in a family setting, a place where her sister should be but isn't, and also dealing with other people's grief in losing her sister too. She makes an alliance with a groomsman. I think their relationship is so cute, so wholesome. This is a YA book. I think it follows insta love, but I think it's done in a cute way that I'm not mad about it, because again, if it's a YA, so my guidelines for cute wholesome romance is different than like a fantasy or like a normal spicy kind of contemporary romance. YA, I don't have that much rules on. I just love YA books for the vibes and the storyline, and I think it's so cute. The next one is 7 Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I will be a forever stan for Ashley Poston. I love this woman. I love her writing style. It's so beautiful. I've talked about it so much on my channel, but I mostly talk about the Dead Romantics. I want to shine some light on the 7 Year Slip because it still is a really good book. I finished it super fast. It's great for a slump. This is another book that deals with grief, but not in a sad, I mean, it is sad because well, it's grief, but the storyline and the characters in it doesn't make it feel too intense. It feels like a happy kind of grief. The quotes in this book is what I love the most. I think I'm not very character driven when it comes to this storyline. It's the writing style that really pulled me in when it comes to this book. It's just beautifully written. The quotes I've underlined so much of this book. It follows Clementine, and she just lost her aunt. She was really close to her aunt. She inherits her aunt's apartment, and her aunt always said that her apartment had magic in it. So Clementine goes, lives in her aunt's apartment. She wakes up and finds a man in her apartment, and she's like, what are you doing here? Get out. She then finds out that this man is 7 years in the past. If she leaves the apartment, she doesn't know if when she returns, the man will still be there, the man 7 years in the past, or if he's going to be gone and she's back in the present tense. I am not good with time, following timelines and jumping around, but this was really easy to follow. Sometimes my brain gets mumbled and jumbled and I don't really know what's going on when it comes to time jumps, but this is such a cute book that it was easy to follow, easy to understand. Their relationship was cute. It felt a little fast for me, but I'm okay with it just because I liked the plot line. I think magical realism isn't done enough. So I think because of Ashley Poston, and I just love Ashley Poston and her books, I am willing to accept the rush of the romance. The first paragraph, I'll just say, and it's very short. It says, my aunt used to say, if you don't fit in, fool everyone until you do. She also said to keep your passport renewed, to pair red wines with meats and whites with everything else, to find work that is fulfilling to your heart as well as your head, to never forget to fall in love whenever you can find it, because love is nothing if not a matter of timing, and to chase the moon. Always, always chase the moon. Like, that's the first paragraph of the book. Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. This was my first cowboy romance that truly introduced me to what cowboy romance is. I had this idea in my head that it was going to be really cheesy and I didn't really want to dive into it, but I listened to it on Spotify and boy was I wrong. Obviously, with every genre there's going to be cheesy books. I think this is a great introduction if you really want to dip your toes, and nothing too crazy because, you know, Elsie Silver, she's really good at cowboy romances, but she already has 5 books in the Chestnut Springs series, 4 or 5 books in the Gold Ranch series, which I haven't read yet, and she started a new series that has 3 books out in that series. So if you don't want to really dive into something too intense with an author, I think Lila Sage is a great start for cowboy romances. It's short, easy, to the point. The plot line is nothing intricate. I don't mean that as like an insult. I mean it truly that it was a good time, a good vibe. I loved it so much. I need to read the next 2 books in the series because I just haven't been in a cowboy romance mood. But I think now that spring has begun to sprung and summer is around the corner and the sun is shining, kind of, I think I'm ready to jump back into my cowboy romances. But this follows Clementine, another Clementine, and Luke. Emmy has always been around horses. She is a professional horse rider, and something happens where she comes home and needs to find herself, needs to figure out who she is as a person. When she comes home, she runs into her brother's best friend, Luke, who owns a bar in her hometown. They become really good friends and hang out with one another, and obviously with every little brother's best friend, there's going to be some banter. I love this world. I think it was such a cute romance. The next one is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. It is really quick. The storyline is super easy to follow. It's a fantasy. It's more romantic-y because it's not very world building, and at least in the first one. It's strictly the 2 main characters and their romance and their relationship. It's a very slow burn, but the banter is what makes this book. If you want a world building book and you don't really care about romance, then you wouldn't like this book. But I do love the banter in this book. I do love Kai. I think he's great. I mean, I've talked about how much I underline this book. I need to reread it so I can read Reckless because Fearless is coming out next month, which is crazy. And I believe that's the last book in the series. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll end on a good storyline because I didn't hear that good of things for Reckless, unfortunately. Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This is a paranormal romance. It's from a contemporary romance author, but this is her first paranormal romance book that she wrote, and she has announced that she's coming out with a sequel to this, so I'm very excited. It should be coming out in October, so great October vibes. This is such a cute, like, interesting romance. It's between a werewolf and a vampire. The vampire, Misery, is forced into a relationship, forced into a marriage with Lo, the werewolf alpha leader. Misery's father has forced her to marry Lo to show an alliance between the two species. She is then sent to live with Lo and his pack. It gets pretty intense from there. I mean, there's assassination attempts, there's wants but can't have, and I find it very fascinating. And it's one of the like guilty pleasure reads because again, werewolf vampire, like what? But it's really cute and I like it. Like it's one of the only books where like the female main character is kind of quirky, like not too quirky to the point where it's unbearable, but I really enjoy this book and the character. My only problem is with the second book, the character. I'm not like the female main character I'm not really excited for because it's Misery's best friend, and whenever she was talking everything had to be quirky out of her mouth, and maybe it was just like the side character syndrome where every like female side character in a contemporary romance has to have some type of quirk. So I'm hoping that she'll have a little bit more depth to her for her own book. So that's the only thing that I'm worried about. But I loved Misery. I loved her character. I love Lo. I love a brooding man. What can I say? And the last book that I want to talk about is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This is such a great YA book. I kind of want to finish the rest of the series, but I heard it gets pretty dark, which, I mean, it can't be darker than any of the dark romances that I've read, but dark YA just doesn't sound right to me. So I don't know about that, but this first one is really good. It follows Pip. She's a senior in high school, and for her senior project, she's trying to solve a murder that happened in her town 4 years ago. This girl was murdered by her boyfriend, and then her boyfriend committed suicide. However, Pip doesn't think that the girl's boyfriend actually killed her, and she thinks somebody else did it. As she's going around town asking questions, digging up things that's supposed to be already solved, somebody is threatening her. I found this book so fascinating. I finished this book so quickly, but the situations that this girl puts her in, I kept forgetting that she's not in college. She's not in her mid-20s, she's like 17 years old, and yet she's going around in the dark of night asking drug dealers where they've been, like, girl, what are you doing here? What are you doing? Like, stop, take a breath. At least tell someone where you're going, okay? That's all we need, that's all we need. Those are all my books that I want to recommend for if you are in a reading slump, or if you just want a quick, fast, easy read. Those are the books that I've read that are great go-tos for that. If you have any books that got you out of a reading slump, let me know in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe for more videos to come. If you want to follow me on any other social media platforms, I will have them linked down below in the description, and I hope to be seeing you in the next video. Bye!